The Atlanta Braves just cannot figure out Edward Cabrera, picking up only 2 hits in a 5-1 loss to the Miami Marlins. Let's talk about it.
This is the Braves Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Atlanta Braves. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports, where we cover your Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby, author of the Braves Today newsletter over at bravestoday.com. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. At Fell in the Red Shirt, the Falcons Red is Jake Mastroianni, host of Locked On Braves, giant Falcons fan. Follow him on social media at Shortstop Ball. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcasts. Jake's had a bunch of great stuff this week. Asking if Jerickson Profar swindled the Braves or not. We'll talk about Profar in a few minutes. Also, make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Sports Atlanta. Falcons had their first preseason game tonight, so our buddy Jarvis is going to have a ton of content after that game. But we're here to talk about Atlanta's 5-1 loss to the Miami Marlins. And honestly, 2 hits, man. 2 hits. One was a homer, right? One was a homer from Jerickson Profar on the most middle fastball I have ever seen. I pulled the video. I put it on social media. I pulled the game day card. It was like a pixel or 2 off from being perfectly middle. How much of this is just Edward Cabrera is a freak of nature that throws a 95-mile-an-hour changeup, and you can't be shocked when he beats you? And how much of this is the Braves offense just at this point in the season really just not having much left?
I think it's a lot of Edward Cabrera. I think you got to give him a ton of credit. I've never understood why he's not the best pitcher in baseball. I mean, it's never really made sense to throw that hard with that much movement and that much sink. And now the changeup, I thought was really good tonight. I mean, He is a really good pitcher, but so is Yuri Perez, so is Freddie Peralta, and they were able to have some success against those guys. And we talked about it before. You wanted to really see the quality of at bats, but sometimes you just can't do anything if the pitcher is that good. So I think you give a lot of credit to Edward Cabrera, who was really great and has really good stuff. And it is a lineup in the Braves that, I mean, look, you're batting Eli White, you're batting Nacho Alvarez, you're batting Nick Allen at the bottom there, and you got some guys in the middle that just haven't quite performed. It's not the best lineup. You're missing Riley, you're missing Acuna. Like, you got to consider all of that. I still think there's some wildly, I think there's some positives to take out of it. But I do think a lot of it is just Edward Cabrera, and he's that good. And sometimes you just got to tip your cap to a pitcher when they're that that on. I mean, 6 whiffs on the changeup, 4 on the curveball, 2 on the sinker, 6 on 10 swings against his slider. I mean, he 19 whiffs in total. He just had everything working. It's really ridiculous. Like I said, for years, and a lot of it's just been the command, right? And
injuries.
Yeah, and injuries. But it's you watch him pitch and you think, man, this kid should be the best pitcher in baseball. That's just how good his stuff is.
Yeah, the stuff's fantastic. And to the point on the slider, 10 swings, 6 whiffs. The 4 times that they made contact, it was all foul balls. They didn't put a single slider into play, and that's his 4th pitch. It's just a little bit absurd. I do want to address something real quick from Eddie here in the chat. My most boomer take is changeup should not be called on pitches 90 miles an hour and harder. I actually asked Mike Petriello of MLB.com this one time, StatCast man, if you will. And it's not just velocity, it's spin rates, it's movement profiles. And then there's also a component to what the player themselves call it. It has the same band of spin rates and movement and everything as a changeup. And there are guys who can throw changeups at 90 miles an hour. Grant Holmes has done it. His kick change has hit 90 miles an hour in spring. So that's why it's called a changeup. It is legitimately a changeup. It's just the hardest one in baseball, to your point, and it's fantastic.
I think Ian Anderson's even too was like 88. Like, it wasn't necessarily
he had run his up pretty. I don't know if he ever hit 90, but he ran his up pretty hard. There are guys who, like, the classic distribution is like 9 to 10 miles an hour difference. There have been guys who can run it up a little higher than that. So And Edward Cabrera is the poster child for this, throwing, he touched 95.7 on his changeup today. His fastest sinker, his fastest fastball was only 2 miles an hour harder than that, which is just a little bit absurd. And to Eddie's point, it is a little bit crazy to call it a changeup, but it is still a changeup in everything but velocity. So that's kind of why they do that. The 2 hits tonight. We've seen this from the Braves, right? Michael Harris gets one, Jerickson Profar gets the homer. But like you talked about this a little bit on a show. Did Jerickson Profar swindle the Braves? Like offensively, he's been good. It's just the defense has been bad. And offensively, he's been good, but not in the same way that he was good for them to sign him.
Yeah, I mean, and based on the comments, I just don't think Braves fans are ever going to be happy with Jerickson Profar, because as much as I tried to paint the picture that over the last month, he's been as good as you could hope. I mean, he's been a positive player, 116 WRC plus type of player. Mm-hmm. And especially since going to the leadoff spot, I mean, he's getting on base almost 2 times a game. The on base is over 350 over the last month. He is, I think offensively, he's been as good as you could hope for, because you really couldn't hope for 2024. Like that's going to be an outlier.
That was a career
280
year.
average, 380 on base. Like that's an outlier. That's a career outlier. You could not expect that. But give me a 350 on base. His ISO is just as good this year as it was last year.
Yeah.
So again, I feel like he's been as good as you could have hoped for. I think the problem too with signing free agents, you always have to pay. You always got to pay more because they're free agents and that. And it makes fans, and I'm subjected to this too. It makes them feel like, okay, they're the guy. Profar shouldn't have to be the guy. Like, if this lineup is clicking the way that it's supposed to, and you got Acuna and you got Riley and you got Olsen and all these guys, Ozuna, he was just supposed to be supplemental to them. And supposed to be something different too. A guy that can get on base, a guy that can put the ball in play. And he's done that. I mean, his strikeout rate, his walk rate are almost the same over the last 24, 25 games. Mm-hmm. So I think offensively, he's been everything you asked for or could have asked for. The defense, as you know, is just absolutely dreadful.
Worse than you thought it would be, yeah.
Yeah. And, but again, I know people are just kind of mad, the suspension, and I get all that. I think that wrecked the Braves early part of the season and was a big part of it, because you got him, I think, to kind of help insert this new wave of offensive identity of being more patient and being a more, batted ball type of approach. I think that they were trying to implement it. It clearly hasn't worked to this point, but I think Profar was supposed to come in and help kind of insert that. And then he's immediately gone. And he was also supposed to be a great clubhouse presence. That's all you heard about him. I had Padres, followers everywhere coming, how they hated to lose Profar because of what he meant to the clubhouse. So I think obviously that was a big blow, but I think what you've gotten from him since coming back is what you could have hoped for. It's just, where do you play him? And if the DH spot's going to be more fluid next year, that certainly does help. But a good night from him. I mean, he walks, he steals a base, he hits a home run. I mean, he's doing all that he can.
Yeah. And as a leadoff hitter, he's drawn 18 walks to 21 strikeouts. Like, to your point, the ratio's just about there. That's what you want from a leadoff guy. All right, in just a second, I want to talk about Nacho Alvarez. I want to talk about Bryce Elder. I want to talk about Dylan Dodd. We'll cover those 3 guys next, right here on the Braves Postcast. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason's already heating up. The Falcons played tonight. The defense looked good. College football isn't far behind. It's the perfect time to lock in your season-long, more or less picks for the 2025 football season, all before week 1 kicks off. Whether you got your eye on big-name quarterbacks or breakout running backs, Prize Picks makes it easy to get in the game. For example, you can grab something like for a season-long pick, Josh Allen for more or less than 27.5 touchdowns, something like that. I've used Prize Picks for a couple seasons now. I really enjoy how easy it is. It's fun to just kind of sometimes go with vibes if I have a feeling about how a game's going to go. Can just fire off a lineup real quick while I'm making a cup of coffee on a Sunday morning or something. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks, run your game. Okay, Jake. So again, 2 hits for the Braves, and I know that, I mean, obviously he didn't have one here, but Nacho Alvarez, since coming up and taking over for Austin Riley now twice for injury, he's looked really good defensively. He's a lot more comfortable at third than second, but he has a night tonight that is, I mean, it's not pretty. He goes 0 for 3 with 1 strikeout. It's only 1 strikeout, but on the season, he's batting .209, 2 walks to 15 strikeouts. He has a grand total of 12 hits. 3 of them are for extra bases and like doubles. All the rest are singles. And for a guy that was doing so well in AAA at drawing walks and getting quality contact and being part of that same kind of approach that we talked about, being that C pitches, ball in play, station to station thing, it hasn't really shown up in multiple stints in the majors now. It's obviously too early to give up on him, but like, what's the level of concern for a guy who is right now your number 1 position player prospect?
Yeah, I talked about this too, to go ahead and tease my own show here. I think I talked about this earlier in the week as well, a deep dive on Nacho, and it's a bit alarming. I mean, for it to be that drastic, like obviously there's a jump, especially for a 21-year-old last year, 22-year-old this year, and we have to keep that in mind. But what made him so special at the minor league level is nothing like what we're seeing at the big league level. I mean, his plate discipline, ability to take, not necessarily even his ability to take walks, the ability not to strike out. I mean, and he is striking out a ton. We talked about that yesterday with Drake Baldwin and how I was a little concerned about the transition for him, not so much for the power, but for the plate discipline and approach. And he's made that transition seemingly maybe even better than I would have, or certainly better than I would have expected. So
I thought you were going to say better than you would have made the transition. I'm like, I hope he does better than you, Jake.
No, I still got it in me, but yeah, it's a bit alarming. Again, the only thing that I have to keep reminding myself is, 1, he's still just 22 years old, and 2, we're still dealing with a pretty small sample size, but it's just wild. The thing that made him so special as a prospect and a hitter in the minors is nothing like what we're seeing at the big league level. I mean, he looks completely lost and out of place, and he is 22. You got to remember that.
Yeah. A guy who is older than that and does not have a small sample size at this point, Bryce Elder, 6 innings, 7 hits, 5 runs, 2 walks to 3 strikeouts. He only gives up 1 home run. Now, granted, it is a 2-run shot, but still, this is the Bryce Elder that we've seen. I feel like he's been a little bit better at not giving up 3 or 4 homers. He's not walking a ton of guys, but he's just given up a bunch of contact. And so he has these 4, 5-run games with only 2 coming off of a homer. Obviously, he's not going to be the starter. Like, he's not going to be one of the starters you count on next year. But at what point does it feel like Atlanta runs out of patience with Bryce Elder? Because to me, it really feels like this final stretch here, like he's a candidate to potentially get moved in the offseason or converted to some sort of long relief role, because I know they value innings. I know AA values workload from the guys, but it needs to be decent workload. He's got an ERA over 6 right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's depth. He's organizational depth.
Yeah.
And you just have to use it right now. And I think there's something to that. And you're hoping in a full season that maybe you have to use him for a handful of starts, not 10, 15 starts. But it's just unfortunately where the Braves are injury-wise. I would not be surprised if he gets optioned down next and Waldrop stays in the rotation, since Bryce Elder has options left. That would not surprise me at all. It is what it is at this point. We know, I mean, look, 6 innings, 5 earned. That's a decent start for Bryce Elder. I mean, kind of with
for Bryce Elder, it is.
Yeah. You'll take it. So, again, I don't know what if you're still hoping to get first half 2023 at this point, you got to let that go.
Yeah. The biggest tell to me on this is Bryce Elder threw 100 pitches, 43 swings. He got 7 whiffs. He picked up a whiff on everything. Dylan Dodd threw 38 pitches, got 21 swings, and had more whiffs. He had 9 whiffs, throwing really just 2 pitches. He threw 2 sliders. Other than that, it was 16 four-seamers it was 20 cutters, and he got more whiffs in 21 swings than Bryce Elder got in 43. And I mean, kudos to Dylan Dodd, kudos to Snitker and the coaching staff for leaving Dylan Dodd in the game, knowing that you have to play 2 games tomorrow.
Yeah.
Letting Dylan Dodd just eat the back half of this game was a great move. And Dodd, again, I think looked really good. The move to relief, the addition of the cutter, both have been really good. It's not going to go away. It's a thing now. Have been really good for Dylan Dodd. It feels like maybe that ends up being the role that you have to do in the future for Bryce Elder.
Yeah. Or look, he went 3 innings tonight and looked really good. Maybe you stretch him back out as a starter now with this primary cutter. I don't know, but
he's got to throw a third pitch. You can't just do it. You can't be a 2-pitch guy as a starter.
My only worry is now, Lindsay, does he get optioned? I mean, we've seen the Braves do that so many times now where they have a guy like this that they use out of the pen, but then they need a fresh arm because you got 3 games in the next 2 days and he has options left. Do they send him down and call somebody up, which would be unfortunate if that were the case, because I want to see more of Dylan Dodd. I want to see what this looks like. But yeah, he's certainly been great, and he looks like he could be a potential left-handed piece in the bullpen for the future.
There you go. So again, Braves drop game 2, 5-1. Series is tied 1 game apiece. You've got 2 games tomorrow. We have confirmed. It's confirmed now. Hurston Waldrop is pitching the day game, 1:15 Eastern. That is the makeup from April 6th. Marlins have, as of right now, not yet announced a starter. And then Sandy Alcantara versus Eric Fetty in the nightcap. Alcantara's not having the season that you want, but he's still Sandy Alcantara. So a little bit nervous about that. And then Cal Quantrill versus Joey Wentz on Sunday. The good news here, as Masboo's pointed out in the chat just now, I was about to get to it, is Chris Sale is making a rehab start on Tuesday for Gwinnett. So if that goes well and they think he's ready, theoretically, he could be back by, next Sunday or something to make a start. So would be nice to kind of get him back in here. But again, Braves lose 5-1, 2 games tomorrow. Quick programming note, we will have 1 postcast at the end of the day to cover both, unless Hurston Waldrop does something nuts. If Hurston Waldrop does a complete game, just does something crazy, we will go live after game 1. But the plan
now it's not going to happen, Lindsay. Way to go.
It wasn't going to happen before, Jake. But unless he starts throwing that cutter a lot more. But we will have 1 postcast tomorrow night recapping both games. Do us a favor. If you're listening on audio, leave a 5-star review, Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to both Locked On Braves and Locked On Sports Atlanta. Hit the notification bell so you know when Jake goes live with his weekly mailbags and Jerickson Profar slander, when we go live with the postcast, and when Locked On Atlanta starts talking about the Atlanta Falcons and what they did tonight against the Lions. For Jake Mastroianni, I'm Lindsay Crosby. This has been the Braves Postcast.